It is time for a new project. And in this project, we're gonna use a UI library that we're gonna make, and we're gonna publish on the NPM package repository. It's gonna be open source. It's gonna be written using React and TypeScript. Let's see how it works. Fresh, new project. First thing we need to do is do npm init, and we're gonna call this thing Coradian UI, because that's the project I'm working on. Add a short description. There's no Git repository quite yet, but we'll set this up later. And for all my Coradian projects, I'm gonna be using the AGPL 3.0 license. And I think that looks pretty good. So what npm init does is it adds a package.json into your project, which for now looks something like this. Now the next thing we need is we need React and TypeScript. Inside of the root of our repository, we're gonna add a tsconfig.json file. For now, we're gonna completely empty this. A rule that I like to live by: if somebody else has already done the work for you and you're able to use it, just use it. And for tsconfig files, there's already a repository called tsconfig, and it has a few bases. One of them that we'll be using is called the recommended base. And you can install it just like this. And then in our tsconfig.json file, we can just put the extends keyword and add the recommended template to tsconfig.json file. Although this is a great start for tsconfig, it is a good idea to take a look at all the different options, choose the ones that you think are best for your project. So the first thing we're going to change is the compiler option. And we're gonna set JSX to preserve. TypeScript ships with 3 JSX modes: preserve, React, and React Native. And you can see the way that the input and output works. In my case, because I'm making a library that's going to be used somewhere else, I want to set the mode to preserve. In other words, I don't want to convert this JSX into this. Next, I'm going to create a source directory, make an index.ts file, and a button TypeScript JSX file, and create a basic component that does absolutely nothing, and export that component from my index.ts file. Now the next thing I need is some sort of way of styling these components. Styled components. Styled components is just a library that uses Sass-like syntax to generate React components. It's something that I've used frequently, and I have definitely enjoyed using it. So I'm going to install styled components and install the type libraries for both styled components and React. So I replace my button functional component with the styled component syntax for a button. At the moment though, this styled button component doesn't really do anything different than this code below. Styled components gets much more powerful when you start actually putting the CSS into this. And here I can put anything that Sass supports. In its case, I'm just gonna make a simple example and just make the background color green, like so. Now, believe it or not, we've created our first UI library, you and me together. Hey. But of course, a UI library isn't really something that is usable until you actually make a package out of it. First thing we're going to do is change this main field to look inside the source directory. And it's an index.ts file. And the second thing is we want to tell it what we should pack. So here we have a glob pattern that will include everything inside the source directory. Next thing we do is to run the npm pack command. And this will zip everything up into a file, and this will be the thing that people receive when they do an npm install on your package. So this is inside the generated tar zip file. And inside that we have our package. And we can see that although we have a few more things inside of our repository, the only things that are actually packed is the source directory and the package.json file. And that is because we said only pack the things that are in the source directory. There are a few things that are always included by default, like the package.json and a readme. We don't have a readme, so let's add one now. This is a readme. And then when I run the npm pack command again, I can see inside the package there's now a readme file. This is a readme. Now, let's say you wanted to test your new package without actually going through the process of publishing this to the npm package repository. Now, this is where the npm link command comes in handy. And inside your package, you want to run npm link, and inside the project that is going to use your package, you run that again, but this time with the name of the package. The name of the package is whatever the name is in your package.json file. So over in the command line, we'll do npm link. It might give you a different output because I've already done this, so it's going to say up to date. And in my other project, I can do npm link Coradian UI. And inside our project node modules folder, you can see we have a new folder called Coradian, and it has a bin file called UI. And now the package can be imported just like this. And I have an icon button here that is extending that button using the styled component syntax. And now when I run npm run dev, I get the UI I'm working on, and look, the buttons are green. There's no way it's that easy. Believe it or not, it is. A lot of people look at a library like Material UI and see, oh my goodness, there's all these files and their package.json is huge with so many dependencies. I mean, look at that, it's 222 lines long. And they're using Babel and Lerna and Rollup. and TypeScript and Webpack. And a lot of people think it's crazy to create your own package, that it's incredibly difficult. Well, here's an example of it working with a fraction of the complexity, arguably almost no complexity. It's so simple, it's almost suspicious. But that's the thing, is that Material UI and all these other libraries need to support a large range of environments. What we need to do is only support one environment, which is React TypeScript.
That's it.
And we're deferring all the responsibility of how we're going to manipulate and transform and transpile these files. We're giving that to our projects to handle. And in your case, you might need to add something like compiling from TypeScript, or using Babel, or using Webpack, or using Rollup, or any one of the other packages that are out there. But for me and what I need for my projects is exactly this. In the next episode, we're going to take a look at how we actually publish this package to the npm package repository, as well as automating it through a GitHub action. Bye!